Hello and welcome to the Daily Comic and Collectible, episode 341. Now today, the collectible of the day is the Mcfarlane Toys, The Walking Dead, AMC television series, Atlanta Hospital Doors construction set. After being shot on duty and falling into a coma, Rick Grimes awakens to find himself in a hospital bed with no one in sight. Alone, weak, and disoriented, Rick stumbles through the hospital looking for any signs of life. Upon reaching the boarded and locked-up cafeteria doors, it's quite apparent to Rick that this is not the same world he once knew. Don't open, dead inside. Recreate one of the most iconic scenes from AMC's The Walking Dead with the new hospital doors construction set. Each construction set includes buildable hospital door scene environment, featuring chain cafeteria doors with reaching walker arms and don't open dead inside graffiti, partial hospital hallway, debris, and hanging cables. Also contains Rick Grimes in his hospital gown. The set in total is 112 pieces. Each piece is hand-painted, made in the Lego style Build-A-Set, with 2-inch scale figures, released in 2015 by Mcfarlane Toys. Now, the comic of the day is The Walking Dead, issue number 192, with the cover date of June 2019, with story by Robert Kirkman, art by Charlie Adlard, and this is the special commemorative edition with cover by Charlie Adlard. This issue is subtitled Aftermath. As Rick is still clutching his gunshot wound, Sebastian apologizes, clearly panicked. He then shoots Rick 3 more times, killing him, before dropping the gun and fleeing the scene. Rick lies dead on his bed until morning. Carl wakes up and gets dressed. He's greeted by Aaron and Jesus, who are having coffee as he exits the hotel. Jesus tells him about a restaurant that makes pancakes, so Carl decides to take his father breakfast. Having arrived at his father's hotel, Carl is alarmed when he notices the door to Rick's room is open. Immediately upon entering, he's confronted by a now reanimated Rick. Aghast, Carl shoots his father in the head before slumping to the floor in tears. Carl remains motionless on the floor as guards discover Rick's body and fetch Mercer, who immediately recognizes the murder weapon as Sebastian's gun. Mercer sends for Michonne to get Carl. A little later, Carl is summoned by Pamela, who informs him that his father's killer has been caught, and that it's her son, Sebastian. Pamela says she wants to hear Carl's thoughts on the matter, and to make sure he wouldn't take justice into his own hands. Carl stoically asks if Sebastian will be punished, prompting Pamela to burst into tears. She tells him that even though Sebastian is her son and she loves him, he will spend the rest of his life behind bars for his crime. Satisfied with this answer, Carl offers his condolences to Pamela before leaving. Michonne does the same, but warns Pamela against trying to take the reins once more, as Mercer looks on. Next, Carl visits Sebastian in jail. In tears, Sebastian recognizes Carl and tells him that he doesn't even know what to say to him. Sebastian recounts how hard things were before he and his mother arrived at the Commonwealth, and how once they were in charge, he thought he would do whatever he wanted. So when Rick fucked everything up, he thought things would go back to normal without him. Sebastian goes on to admit that he never killed a person before, and that even though people say it's very hard, it was actually easy. He's abruptly told by Carl to shut up. Carl tells Sebastian that everyone is talking about him and that no one likes him and, in fact, never did. Carl can tell Sebastian is not a good person and that he's not sorry for what he did, but rather he got caught. Carl then reveals that Sebastian's mother was worried he would take matters into his own hands and kill him in revenge, but he thinks Sebastian being imprisoned is much better, since Carl gets to visit Sebastian whenever he wants and see his misery, while Sebastian will remember the life he once had with every visit, which Carl thinks is a much better punishment than death. Carl acknowledges that this is what his father would have wanted, but warns Sebastian that if he ever escapes, Carl will hunt him down, dragging him back to the cell. With that, he tells Sebastian he'll be seeing him before departing. The next day, Carl prepares to take his father's body to Alexandria so he can be buried alongside Andrea. He's greeted by Michonne, who is also going. Carl tells her that she doesn't need to accompany him and that he can make it on his own, which Michonne acknowledges, but tells him that he shouldn't have to. Maggie then arrives and asks Carl to wait for an hour, since there are people from Alexandria who would also like to pay their respects. Carl asks who wants to come. An hour later, a large group of people gather to escort Rick's body to Alexandria, consisting of not only Alexandrians and Hilltoppers, but many Commonwealth residents as well. As they are traveling, Carl suddenly falls off the wagon, as Michonne quickly rushes to his aid. In tears, Carl says that his father sacrificed so much to create a world where he could say goodbye, but he never got to. Carl wonders what it was all for and recognizes that the world is much better and safer because of Rick. But now he died. Just like that. Carl says that he can't go on without his father, and that he can't do this anymore. Geek Fact. This is a major key issue, being the last appearance and death of Rick Grimes. No character from issue 1 is still alive, and at this time, Carl is the last surviving member of his family, until his marriage to Sophia and the birth of their daughter, Andrea. Side Geek Fact. Carl and Sophia are now the longest surviving characters and the last remaining characters that appeared in Volume 1. Bonus Geek Fact. This issue also marks the 125th appearance of Maggie Green in the pages of The Walking Dead. Another bonus geek fact. When Carl visits Sebastian in his cell, he says his father taught him prison is more civilized than death. This was a callback to Rick imprisoning Negan after the end of All Out War. And final geek fact. Several years after Rick's death, Sebastian is remembered as a hated figure in the New World. He served as the primary antagonist of Volume 32, Rest in Peace, and the final antagonist in the comic book series. Final side geek fact. Rick lying dead in his bed is an homage to him waking up in a hospital bed in issue 1. Well, I'd like to thank you for joining me for another Daily Comic and Collectible, and I hope to see you again tomorrow. This is Cat Fan Comics Man, and I'll catch you on the flip. Over and out.